My name is Brian Burrell. I'm a professor of neuroscience in the Division of Basic Biomedical Sciences. I'm also involved with the Center for Brain and Behavior Research. And the topic of my flash lecture is pain is good. So why is pain good? So if you think about pain is evolution's way of keeping us, meaning animals, from doing things that are stupid. So if you think about the very first animal out there, the ones that have a proper central nervous system, they have three things that they need to worry about. One is they need to eat. They need to be able to get enough resources to make it into the next day. The next thing is they need to reproduce, get their genes into the next generation. And then the final thing they need to do is they need to not get hurt or killed while doing the first two things. Now, if they make a mistake with not getting food, that's not great, but it's not a disaster. They may have better luck the next day. But if they make a mistake with reproduction, also not great. But even though these are not fish, the old saying, there are more fish in the sea, applies here. They may have another opportunity in the future to reproduce and overcome that mistake. But if they make a mistake with stimuli that can damage or kill them, which is essentially what a painful stimulus is, then that could be a really critical problem. And that's going to affect their ability to do the other two things they need to do, and may actually be a terminal event, a game over kind of event. So being able to respond to painful stimuli appropriately, to withdraw from damaging stimuli or run away if necessary, is a really important process. Furthermore, it seems likely that the mechanisms of responding to painful stimuli and adapting your responses once you've had a painful stimulus, protecting that piece of tissue or limb that got damaged, may have actually formed the basis for how nervous systems learn and store information, basically learning and memory, may have been built on the superstructure of responding to painful stimulus. Now, this doesn't mean that all pain is good. Obviously, we are not Precambrian horrors, and so we have issues with pain that we have to deal with. Chronic pain is a serious problem. It's estimated that chronic pain affects about 20% of the population worldwide. In this country, pain has a really strong effect on the number of people it affects and the economic impact that it makes. We pretty much still treat pain, be it acute or chronic, the same way we've been treating it for, say, 60 or 70 years with NSAIDs and opioids and all the disadvantages that those treatment options have with them. There's also other issues related to chronic pain in terms of disparities about who it affects. Women and the elderly seem to be disproportionately affected by chronic pain compared to the rest of the population. And there are socioeconomic aspects as well, with the majority population receiving more effective pain treatment than people of color. So chronic pain in humans obviously is a bad thing. But what would it be like if we were humans but didn't have to feel pain at all? And of course, this idea of not feeling pain is the stuff of comic books and science fiction stories going back a really long time. And there actually are people out there who do not feel pain. They have what's called congenital insensitivity to pain. So they have a mutation, and there are various kinds of mutations, that basically makes them completely insensitive to painful stimuli. It sounds great, but it actually can be pretty horrible. So this is a story from, it's about 8 years old now, of a young girl who has this condition. And they show a picture of her earlier with these bandages on her hands. Those bandages on her hands are to keep her from gnawing at her fingers. So just like we sort of chew on some people chew on their fingernails as a nervous habit, people with congenital insensitivity to pain will actually gnaw on their fingers or their lips or their tongues to the point that they get broken and severely damaged. So being somewhat conscious that we're in a place where people eat, this was the nicest picture that I could actually send. There's some pretty horrible injuries that these people have. So if you think about if you bite down on your tongue and how much it hurts, then these people don't feel that, and so they can literally chew off parts of their tongue or their lips or their fingers. So even though it sounds great, it really has some serious disadvantages. So going forward, people who study pain, and I'm one of those people that do that, we're interested in the mechanisms that create chronic pain so that we can control it. But we're also interested in some of these mechanisms that cause insensitivity to pain and try to use what we learned from that overall biology of how pain works to develop new and better treatments for it. Thank you.